Hi, my name is Teacher Caroline, and this is Quick Tips for VIPKID. Today we're going to talk about how to get those reluctant speakers to speak up during class, which will in turn help you get rebooked by those students and their parents. Before we get started, I wanted to take just a minute to share a comment from one of my viewers. This was written on my video about how to get rebooked after class. Annie Fraser wrote, "Hi Teacher Caroline, I've watched a lot of VIPKID teacher videos, and I just want to say that this is my favorite one ever. Thanks for being real and offering an authentic and empathetic perspective on what's important with students in classes. I know I will be working on looking at my camera more starting tonight." Wow, Annie, thank you so much for taking the time to leave such heartwarming feedback for me. It really made my day, maybe my week. I hope to pay it forward and give the same kind of love to other VIPKID teachers who are out there creating YouTube videos or Google Slides or planning meetups. We have such a great community of teachers. I know you'll agree if you're a VIPKID teacher. Now let's move on to how to get reluctant speakers to speak up. First of all, I want to talk about the parent's perspective. If you have a reluctant speaker who's really just watching you and not speaking up very much, it can start to feel like a waste of money for the parent. I don't mean that to sound harsh, but if you think about it, the student might as well be watching a TV show in English. The parents are paying money to get their student to interact with a native English speaker, and interaction involves speaking on the student's part. So it really is our job to make sure that student is giving student output. That way we can correct the student, guide the student, and give the parent something more than just a fun TV show. When you're teaching a reluctant or quiet student, you want to quickly ascertain why the student is being quiet if you possibly can. One reason might be that they just have a shy personality. You can kind of get a glimpse of their true personality by seeing what they act like before class or after class when they think the camera's off. Often what we perceive as a very shy student is not shy at all in their home environment, and we can draw upon that knowledge to help us get them comfortable in the classroom. Your student might be reluctant to speak because he or she is placed in way too high a level than they should be. If that's the case, that's definitely going to guide how you help them. You're going to scaffold a lot for them, and you're going to make sure they're just getting the key points. Definitely don't be afraid to communicate your opinion about the student's placement in the feedback to the learning partner. It does the student a great disservice to have them in the wrong level. The third reason your student may be reluctant to speak is just that they are processing the information. As we know, 6 seconds of wait time is a pretty good amount of time to allow the student to process what you've asked or said and to repeat it or reply. Let's count to 6 right now so we can really feel how long that is. As you can hear, that's a lot of dead space, but some students really need that full 6 seconds in order to reply fully and confidently. And the fourth reason that your student may be reluctant to speak is that they are afraid. Their heart is pounding out of their chest and they're afraid to be wrong. Maybe they've been chastised for being wrong in some other class sometime, or maybe they're just a perfectionist. If that's the case, we want to try to ease their tension with our soft, kind face and our gentle demeanor. Now, at the risk of overgeneralizing, I do have to admit that I actually really like reluctant speakers. I sort of consider it a challenge that I can overcome. I can make them confident through the following methods. Often reluctant speakers are well-behaved students. They often have great attention to detail, and they often work hard to get the answer just right. So they can make great students if you can just warm up to them enough to get them to speak out during class. Now, let's get started on 10 tips to get your reluctant student to speak up. The first thing you may consider doing is matching their energy. A lot of times we start off class so energetic, but if we see that the student is more reserved, it may make sense to back off our energy just a bit. You can still give as much presence and focus without so much crazy energy that may intimidate the student. One thing I try not to lose though is my smile. So I may calm down maybe my body movements or my inflections in my voice to help the student feel more comfortable, but I'll never back down on the smile. The second tip for getting a reluctant speaker to speak works almost every time for me, and that's to use a microphone for question and answer or for repeating. So it might look something like this. How are you? Good. When I place the microphone out to the student, I may also offer a hand and a nod. This tells the student it's your turn. I'm here and I'm not in a hurry. And that's what I'm trying to communicate with this gesture. My third tip for getting your reluctant student to speak up is to give lots and lots of praise. I have a student named Blair who's a reluctant speaker, and every time I look right in the camera and give him lots of good praise, awesome job, Blair, you did it, good job, perfect. He always gives me hearts, 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 hearts. And that tells it all. They really want to be praised for their good work if they're nervous about doing a good job. The fourth tip we already talked about is to give that 6 seconds of wait time so your student has plenty of time to process the information. My fifth tip is to provide an example response. If you think about it, it's very difficult to change the question sentence structure into an answer sentence structure for a non-native English speaker. They have to move the subject and the verb all around. It's very confusing. So if you can provide them an example response, it can really help them along. So I might start by giving my example. I love purple and blue. What colors do you love? This gives them a framework that they can work within. The next tip is to stick to the sentence frames that were provided to you by VIPKID. You can even write these out ahead of time so you're very clear about what the sentence frames are. This is great for a student who's placed in too difficult a lesson for him or her. You just want to drill it down to what exactly we're trying to work on. It's okay to repeat these over and over again. You can make them exciting with props, facial expressions, different intonations, loud, quiet, fast, slow, but stick to the frames. I say this because when my son took Lingobus classes, we were very, very, very beginners. So we did not mind at all repeating the same sentence structures over and over again so that he could gain that confidence. The seventh tip is similar to the last one. Provide a sentence frame for your student, even if it's not provided on the slide. So I might ask the question, where does milk come from? And allow them to just read it, really. And maybe I even use an extra visual aid to help them. And then we might repeat it until they're able to do it completely on their own. If the student is comfortable using the chat box, you can also use that to provide sentence frames, and then they can double check and read back to it throughout the lesson if they need to. Tip number 8 is to use the feedback to communicate to parents that it's okay for your student to speak up even if he or she is not exactly sure how to say something perfectly. Tip number 9 is to focus on the end game. A student will not be comfortable risking being wrong and speaking up with you until they feel safe. Nobody can learn until they feel safe. So whatever you have to do to make that student feel at ease with you is okay. Maybe you won't get 100% of the output that you want to get in your first lesson together. Maybe that first lesson together, you're really building rapport. You're scaffolding. You're helping the student feel confident with the thought that if you get rebooked, which you will because you're making the student feel so comfortable with you, in those second, third, and fourth lessons, you'll continue to push the student, push the student, push the student. So I know this might be controversial advice, but maybe in that very first lesson with a brand new reluctant speaker, student output isn't the most important thing. Building comfort, confidence, and relationship with the student is the most important thing so that you can build on top of that with skills. For example, even though I usually like to correct every single mispronounced word, if a student is struggling to speak up, I'm only going to dampen their spirits by correcting every little thing. So I might break my own rule and allow some mispronunciations to slide, focus on the ones that are important for that unit in order to let the student feel comfortable with me and confident trying. Tip number 10 is to get the student to smile. No matter how you have to do it, get them to smile. If you're good at being silly and wearing goofy costumes and wigs and goofing off, you do that. If you're like me and you're not naturally the silliest, funniest person in the world, then you can rely on other people to be funny. Use gifts to make both of you laugh during class. Or maybe you intentionally answer a question wrong to get the student to laugh at you. Or maybe it's not being funny that makes the student smile. Maybe it's just asking them questions about themselves. For a reward, maybe you ask them questions about their best friend, what they like to do for fun. Often these little personal questions will make the students crack that little smile as they think about their favorite thing to do or their favorite person. So let's review quickly what we talked about. First, match your student's energy, use a microphone, give warm praise, 6 seconds of wait time, provide an example response, stick to the sentence frames, provide a visual sentence frame, mention the issue in feedback, focus on the end game, several lessons from now, what you want it to look like, and finally, get that smile. Do whatever you have to do. Thank you so much for watching this video about how to get reluctant speakers to speak up. If anything in this video was helpful for you, please consider pushing the thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. You can also share it with your VIP Kid teacher friends or in your Facebook groups. If you haven't subscribed already, I really appreciate you clicking the subscribe button below so you can be notified when I post future videos. That's it for today. Have a great week teaching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.